welcome to Blind Man with a Backpack in conversation with Tim Dixon.
We drive the graveyard train through the fire and rain. We drive the graveyard train when we come calling for you.
Technology plays an important role in modern life, and it has made our lives much easier in so many ways. Whether we're connecting with estranged friends and family from around the world via social media, using smart speakers to listen to the radio or make a shopping list while cooking, watching the unending shows on the plethora of streaming services, or using AI to find out the correct tyre pressure for the car. I actually did that one this morning. It's hard to imagine life without it. But for people who are losing our sight, technology can be both empowering and intimidating. Navigating smartphones and laptops without vision comes with real challenges, yet it also opens up incredible opportunities for independence and connection. And alongside the benefits comes new concerns like how to protect your privacy when so much of life is online. In today's episode, I'm joined by Tim Dixon, a visually impaired solution architect, to explore how technology is reshaping daily life for people with sight loss, the good, the bad, and what's next. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
An absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to this. So thank you for coming. And let's start with your background. Tell us about you and little bit about your story.
Yeah, sure. So I've worked in IT for at least 25 years now, and about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with Cone Dystrophy, a very similar to yourself, Chris. So I was 33 back then, and I knew it was a possibility. My mum had it, and her dad had it, but there was no testing available. There was no real understanding, because when they were diagnosed, there wasn't frequent DNA testing in that. So as I went through that process, I was able to have DNA testing and know what gene it is, which is a different gene to yourself, but very, very similar circumstances. And then over the last 10 years, it's been losing that central vision and colour perception, stopping driving, and kind of navigating that path of how do I continue working? How do I continue being a dad? So very, very much like yourself in that respect.
Yeah, it's really hard, isn't it? Because it's like, I don't know about you, but when I got my diagnosis, there was about 2 years when you sort of have this little sword of Damocles hanging over your head, but actually it doesn't impact you in any way, and so it almost lulls you into this false sense of security that, oh, actually, this isn't so bad. Yes, I've got this diagnosis, and yes, I've been told that it's going to impact my sight and whatever, but actually nothing has changed. And then suddenly, as it gets to that tipping point, then it's like it hits you again, isn't it? You've gone through that diagnosis, you've gone through the sort of the worry and the processing of the diagnosis, and then you're into that full sense of security, and then you're back in there exactly the same and doing exactly the same thing all over again. So it's a real challenge, isn't it? It's just
It is, and I mean, my mum had told me it was a possibility, so I kind of knew it was a possibility. So I'd been going to the same optician, having them take images of my eyes and keep an eye on for damage. But I'd actually gone in, and the optician says, there isn't any damage, but your eyes aren't responding to the optical changes as we'd expect. So he sent me to referred me up to the local hospital, who didn't even look at my eyes as well as he did. Said there's nothing wrong. So I was actually looking at taking a lease out on a car, knowing that roughly when my mum stopped driving. So gauging that I thought I'd still had like 4 or 5 years of driving in. And I went back to the opticians just to be sure, because I was going to take out a 2-year lease. And he goes, actually, in the gap, your eyes have deteriorated. You've probably got 6 months.
Right.
which is like a big
Yeah.
shock. But then I knew I had that amount of
Yeah.
time, and I feel very fortunate I was able to go and get a car I
Mm.
wanted and have a lot of fun in that time. And my daughter was only 6 months
Right.
old, if that, at the
Yeah.
time. Um, but as you said, there's lots of it's like a reoccurring story. Something new happens, and all the emotions come back up to the
Yeah.
surface, and you have to adjust
You
again.
do. And as somebody else I was talking to, he was saying exactly the same thing. It's like when it is degenerative, you're constantly resetting and you're constantly adapting. And as your sight changes, you're you start to go down through those they're the five stages of grief, aren't you? You start to go down through them, and then
Yeah,
suddenly something happens which drops you back to where back a few steps, and then you're having to work your way back through it again. And it's constantly changing the way you approach everything, isn't it? Because one day that you can do something like cooking dinner, or setting something up on the stereo, or whatever that could be, and then the next day something happens, and it could just be that the light has got worse, or brighter, or anything at all, or the sun has come out, and suddenly you just can't do what you could do the day before, and just having to deal with that and adapt to it and cope with it. It's such a massive challenge, isn't it? It's just awful.
I think it was Chris McCausland said that as he was losing his sight, every day, not literally every day, but every day you're getting worse at
Mm,
something. And then suddenly, when you have no sight, you're then beginning to learn things and you getting better at
mm.
things because you've kind of hit, you're no longer comparing to what you used to be able to do. You're now comparing to your state a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago where you wasn't able to do anything and you found ways of
yeah.
doing it. Um, and certainly, like you say, I think a lot of people that have gone through a degenerative
Mm.
journey really struggle with it. And I know it sounds strange, but there's quite a few people that say actually it's been much easier once I've lost my sight than having it halfway.
I've heard that as well. Some people actually, if it just suddenly goes, actually in a way that's better because you're only dealing with it once rather than having to constantly adjust. It's quite a it, it's a funny way to approach it. It's a funny way to think about it, but yeah, we're on. It really does make sense, doesn't it?
It
Mm,
does.
it
It
does.
does.
Anyway, let's move away from that. Let's talk about technology. But what I want to do is, first of all, before we start talking about different apps and how things work, let's go into, because both you and I work in IT. I work on the project side. You work as sort of like the architecture side of things. So, how, as your site has been changing over the years, what has there been things that you've thought about, the things that you've brought in, which have actually made to be able to adapt and adjust to your changing site at all?
Yeah, so obviously the early thing is magnification, and quite early on color
Mm,
contrast has a black screen with white text I can read within
mm,
reason, whereas it doesn't matter how big a white screen with black text is, it's just too
yeah.
bright. And so in the early days, it was magnification, it was switching to high contrast, and moving things closer, much closer. And then more recently, so like sort of last 4 or 5 years, I began to realize, I'm using the screen and the
Mm,
magnification. I started supplementing that with a screen
right.
reader
Yeah.
um, to help with reading things and just reassurance. Because a number of times I'll think it says 8 and it's a
Mm,
3, or it can even be things that aren't close. Um, so having that reassurance took some of the pressure of working with your
mm,
eyes. Um, and I also realized during COVID that what happens when I'm dependent just on the screen
yeah.
reader? Am I going to be able to do my
Mm,
role, which includes a lot of online meetings, having the screen reader talk to me and being in a meeting. And I was still am at a point where I turn the screen reader off when I enter a meeting because I can't cope with both audio
Yeah.
inputs. So I've learnt grade one Braille. There's no speed to it, and I'm not using it in earnest. But it was an attempt, and it's like you were saying, it's this gradual thing of trying to prepare yourself for when something happens. And if you'd have asked me back in 2021, which I think is when I started grade one Braille, I'd have said, "Oh, by 2025, I'll be able to read the Braille along with, the chat messages and stuff in conference calls and that." And it's like, no, can't do that at all. Um,
Yeah.
but having it has made a difference to me in terms of some independence and learning, feeling like I have something that I can turn to, and proving that I could learn
Yeah.
grade one was a big thing. Because you think, I'm 40, how am I going to learn Braille at the time? It's how do you,
Yeah.
my fingers going to keep
Yeah.
up with it?
Did you find when you did learn the Braille, was that because I know when I did it, I've done my grade one. I got halfway through the grade two, and um, I got quite a good way through, but I've not kept it up, and so it's so much of it has gone now from the grade two, especially as I can still read the alphabet and everything. Um, but did you find when you first started learning Braille that so much of it was about retraining retraining your brain and retraining your that sense of touch to be able to
Yeah,
how difficult that bit of it was? That was fascinating.
it was, and I've not really progressed grade two because I know that's the bit that you really need to have a lot of
Mm.
practice. I can remember the alphabet really well, and you learn how words
Mm.
feel, but when there's 176 contractions and things, then you start going, unless I'm doing this an hour a
Yeah.
day every day, I'm not going to get
No,
proficient at
that
it.
was exactly the mistake I've made. Is that I haven't kept it up, and so I can't read contracted at all. And it's well, it will take me a long time, and I'm sure that it will be one of those things that if I started doing it more regularly, that it would come back. But yeah, it's so um, it's like with all of these things, if you don't keep it up, you lose that. You just lose it, and you forget things, and it's not it's not where it needs
And
to be, is it? Which is good. So anyway, sorry. Uh,
I think
yeah.
the thing is being a dad and
Mm-hmm.
working full
Mm-hmm.
time, and you're adjusting to everything else, and you need that. It is much more
Yeah.
tiring with sight loss.
It is.
Um, that trying to then make the time to do
Mm.
Braille when you don't get an instant reward out of it. It's a bit like learning any new tool, and even with the screen
Mm.
readers, I'll get so far and voiceover on the phone, and then it'll be like I can see it's
Yeah.
there. I've got enough vision to see where I want to get. I can't get there. Right, it's going off, and I'm going to go and touch it with my finger or click it or whatever the
Mm.
device is, because it's I know that ultimately I'll be quicker if I don't do that and I learn how to do
Mm.
it, but you just get frustrated in that
You,
moment
yeah,
because you're trying
you
to get
do, don't
done.
you? And it is so hard to bring yourself to it's getting that balance between what's going to give you the quickest result at that time and what's going to give you that long term sort of benefit, if you like. But sometimes you've just got to do it. You've just got to do it in the moment. If you're in the middle of something, you just need to get a number or you need to get a piece of information because you're in the middle of a call. You've just got to go and do it and find it just the best way to do it at that time, haven't you? It's just it's what you have to do.
You do. So going back to work and adjustments and things. So obviously that was the technology side of it. Um, with the bulk of the deterioration happening during COVID and that, I was at home. I wasn't needing to
Mm.
travel. I was working remotely from day one in my at my current employer. Um, and then I've was it 3 years ago I stepped up into head of IT
Mm.
architecture, more as a supervisory role because in my mind that's I can be less about drawing diagrams and being in the
Mm.
detail.
Mm.
um, and move away from that and still add the value to the
Yeah.
business. And that's worked quite well. And obviously, using magnification has been key. And I'm at a point now where need more different ways. I've got a dot pad on the way through Access to
Right.
Work that will hopefully help with feeling diagrams and having things converted under support worker or access
Hmm.
assistant starting to help me from that perspective because I have hit that threshold where not when you're working in a large organization and you're working across multiple
Mm.
teams, people don't know that if they send you a screenshot, it's like they may as well send us a black
Yeah.
envelope. We can't see anything
Yeah.
on it. And that education process, and that is, you can do it when you're in a small team, but when it's across a large
Mm.
organization with different vendors and that, then the education process just becomes a blocker.
It does.
So having an access assistant will remove that. They'll do the translation.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. And I have. I
I
mean, because I got mine. My access assistant Dan joined me nearly 2 years ago now, and he has been such a game changer for me because similarly to you, I was a business analyst for God knows how many years, and then took this product owner role about 3 years ago now, and again, one of the key bits of that being that I don't need to be into the details so much. I don't need to be the one drawing the process mappings and mapping and bringing together all the business requirements and actually working as the PO. I can take that next step up and do the more of the stakeholder management side of things, and enriching the backlog and all of the PO type role. But with Dan with me, he has just become so key because he joins all of my meetings now. He can and to the point where he can join a meeting, there can be a presentation up on a slide, and he can be essentially in my ear, whether that's online or face to face, going, on the screen is that, on the screen is this. So I've got the information to hand, the same as everybody else, which means that you can then get involved in that discussion and actively participate in that discussion because you've got access to that information. And if it wasn't for him, and you say, with all of the advancements in AI and things that there are, and they're making really good advancements, really good step forward. Um, Sometimes you just need that human being who can be there and just know what it is that needs to be picked out, don't you? So yeah, the access assistant for me is he's been the biggest game changer that I've had.
It's your recommendation that's led me down that route because I was very much trying to get the AI, but I was having a few challenges with getting AI into the
Mm.
business from a security perspective, and naturally, businesses are
Hmm.
cautious and rightly
Hmm.
so um, around that, and it's like you said, AI is good to a certain point of view, but if you've got to get your phone out your pocket to screenshot take a picture of the whiteboard and have it
Yeah.
described to you, it's not as
No.
natural. There isn't the confidence there. What if your phone's gone dead? What if the lighting isn't good enough? What if it's on one of those glass whiteboards where it reflects and it doesn't actually get a decent image? All of those challenges.
Exactly that. It's just it's good to a certain point, and this was the discussion I was having because I'm just going through my access to work renewal at the moment, and this is exactly the discussion I was having with the assessor was asking, well, why do you need somebody to do that? What about this? And it's just like, because you just you just need that interaction. You need that person. It's I know that I could go on to an AI engine and ask it to create me a presentation, but it won't give me exactly what somebody who does, physically will be able to do. It's much easier to be
Yeah.
sat there with somebody else and go, that looks great. Can you just adjust this here? That text isn't quite right. And working with them to do it, it's not as possible to do that when you've got trying to enter a whole load of prompts into an AI engine instead. So,
No, absolutely. And so for me, a lot of my work is remote. When it does come to going to events in
hmm.
person, then that can be quite challenging because I find that a lot of colleagues that don't know me very well obviously don't know much about, and they don't know everybody's kind and
Hmm.
that, but I'm sure you've come across this, Chris. It's that you feel like all the attention is on you when you walk in a room with a white cane, and
Yeah,
you almost you can feel the pity that's coming off people, um, which they shouldn't, and it's not meant in any negative way by any of
mm.
them. But it is one of those things that, from a mental health perspective, is quite challenging to deal
It's
with.
exhausting.
Um,
Yeah.
because you're very I mean, I don't have the Access Assistant yet, but when I've been doing it by myself, you're very conscious of, oh, I can't see that presentation I've put
Mm,
up
mm.
there, and I can't see this, and I don't want to get my phone out, and you're just oblivious to a lot of the stuff that's going on,
Yeah.
or feeling that you're asking a stupid question in the
Yeah.
room.
No, it is. And that whole thing, I remember again, I was at a supplier visit good few years ago now, about 3 or 4 years ago. And one of the providers, the account manager, he literally he zoned in on me, and I'm with general managers and senior department managers, and I'm the lowly analyst. So I keep saying to people, I'm not the important one. I'm the PO, so I'm still just not. All of these other people in the room are far more important than I am, and yet they're zoning in on me, and it makes you feel self conscious. Just like no, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. Just leave me be. I've got my cane. I've got the thing. I've got. If I need an elbow for somebody, I'll ask somebody if I can take an arm rather than using the cane if we're doing a walk around or there's somewhere which is unfamiliar. But don't don't almost don't treat me any differently to the way you'd be treating anybody else. And because you do, it becomes you become really, really self-conscious with it. And it just becomes so tiring as well. And it just becomes exhausting. It's just like just leave me alone. Um yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Indeed. And the other one as well is it's almost sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes you get that little bit of a shock from somebody because you'll walk in the room and you've had lots and lots of online interactions. And of course, when you're on the phone like we are now, they don't really see, they don't know that you can't see. They don't know that you've got a visual impairment or anything like that. And then you see them for the first time face to face and they see the cane or they see the dog and it's like, oh, I didn't. It's like, right, but what does that matter? It doesn't. Just because I can't see doesn't mean I can't do my job, and it doesn't. And I think it's that impression sometimes that people get, and it's just it's it's insulting. Actually, is what it is.
I remember going down to a vendor's, and the PM on the project that was a contractor for the company I work for, and been working with them 18 months
Mm.
online, and gone for drinks afterwards and that, and walking between locations, and she goes, I had no idea. I know you said you was blind, but I had no idea you was this blind. Or this, your sight was this bad. And it's all
Yeah.
well-meaning, and obviously there's a dose of alcohol in there. But as you get towards the end of the night, then you've got colleagues come in and saying, "Oh, you're so inspirational. I don't know how
Oh,
you do it every day." And uh, that pity party,
yes.
that's the bit that I really struggle with because everybody has the
Yeah.
challenges. And I think part of it is because they're coming from the thank thank goodness it's not me
I
situation.
think it is, and you do, and it's that. Oh, you're such an inspiration for me. It's just like I'm just getting on with my life. There's nothing inspirational about what it is I'm doing. I'm just getting on. I've still got a mortgage to pay. I've still got a family. I've still got, I've still got life to live. I'm just getting on with that. There's nothing inspirational about what I'm doing here. Just just leave that alone. Just put it away and let's just go about our daily lives. Just go about and let's just pretend that you didn't even say that and just carry on.
Talking of inspiration, have you seen the video by Shelley Young on TED? It's TED Talk about inspiration porn.
Oh yes, yes, I did. Yeah, that was. I saw it. Yeah, it was a really powerful way because it was she was talking about like at school, wasn't she? And just it's like
Yeah,
I'm not I'm just living my life, just leave me alone. Yeah, really powerful. I think everybody should watch that. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll if I will remember to pop it into the link of this so that people can go away and watch that because it's a really useful. It's not particularly long piece of video, but it's a really powerful TED
it
talk.
is. And to be fair, I don't think it's something you understand until you're going through a disability of some kind and on the receiving end of it that
Yeah.
you can relate to it because you wouldn't normally. You think it's you're doing some good by saying, "Oh, look at how inspirational you
Mm,
are." It's like I'm telling you, you're good.
mm.
How can that be a bad
Yeah.
thing? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it is.
It is. Yeah. It's so it's difficult until you're in that situation, but you don't realize actually how insulting that whole um inspiration thing really can be. I mean, we're just trying to muddle through along with everybody else. So yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned about this dot pad. So what is that? Just explain that.
So yeah, it's. I visualize it. I have been hands on with it, but I kind of explain it as it's like an iPad in terms of it's a flat
Mm.
surface. It's thicker than an iPad, and it's got 2,400 braille dots
Okay.
on it. So some people call it a multi-line braille
Mm.
display because it can display multiple lines of braille, and you can Bluetooth it to your phone or your computer, and if you connect it, I connected it to my
Mm.
iPhone, and you actually got the app icons come up straight away. So as you're navigating on your screen, you can feel the app
Oh,
icon. So
wow.
for people that have zero vision, you can see that.
Yeah.
And then they've got some online apps that you can open up on, say, an iPad and use an Apple Pencil
Mm.
with to draw, and it will display onto that dot pad, so you can feel it. Now it's only, there's no gradients of height of
Yeah.
dots, so it's only really like a line drawing. Um, but you can also have like org charts or process flows or whatever, chuck them into their cloud, they'll convert them into a format and it'll come down and you can
Wow.
feel around it.
Wow.
So that's uh, the thing that's what I requested it
Mm.
for, and what I hadn't realized was, um, and you'll appreciate this from the little braille we both know, spreadsheets.
Yeah.
One of the worst things about spreadsheets when you have no useful vision is how do you get a feel for how they're
Yeah.
formatted? It can say what cell and what row, and you've almost got to visually build it
Hmm.
up. Well, if a multi-line braille display, you can have it laid out as a table, so you can feel it as a table.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. That sounds so cool. I'm going to have to wait for you to tell me how that gets on, and then I might have to go and have a look at that myself. I mean, some of this technology is just fantastic the way it works, and yeah. So, is this one of these ones that actually it's just one that you can pick up and just go and work with, or is it one of these other ones like like the screen reader, for example, where you really need to go and get some training in order to get the best out of it?
I think it's one you can probably just get up and go
Mm.
with because certainly with our level of tech
Mm.
expertise, you go to a web page and you upload the image file and then tell it to send it to the dot pad and there it is. You can feel
Oh,
it.
okay.
Um, so it was really, and with Apple devices, it was really quick at just displaying whatever's on the screen as best it can as um, as
Yeah.
tactile. Um, so the Dot is the company that makes
Mm.
this. It's not like a normal Braille display. It's a special kind of
Yeah.
Braille. So there's like a membrane over it. So it's not like the normal metal
Yeah.
pins. And they license that technology for Humanware in their Monarch. And the Humanware Monarch is a more robust sort of aimed at
Right.
education and is almost double the price of the dot pad. But it's a unit in its own
Mm.
right because you can put your ebooks on it, your braille books. You can do lots more
Yeah.
with it, and it's really geared towards education, and it's almost like it's got a machine. Whereas this is more like you plug in a monitor into your computer
Okay.
and essentially, or Bluetooth in the
Yeah.
monitor, and you're getting that display.
It's amazing these developments and that that it can actually do that, and it can essentially map that image and drop it into something so that then you've got a physical something that you can feel, and those physical dots that you can feel to then get that feel of what it is that graphic is trying to give you. And yeah, no, it's quite phenomenal how these things can do this stuff.
And
Brilliant.
it's quite good seeing the prices come down.
Mm.
So I first saw the dot pad just over 2 years ago, and the price was £12,000 plus that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's now down to £8,000, which gives
Mm.
you a good indication that the technology is here to stay.
Yes.
They've had enough sales to get it
Yeah.
down, and it's 3 times faster at refreshing than it was 2 years
Really.
ago.
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing as well, is that so if you upload something to the cloud, how quickly is it then ready for you to feel?
I think it's reasonably quick. I don't. I, it's been a few
Yeah.
months since I had the demo, and mine doesn't arrive for another
Right.
month. But I didn't notice a massive challenge with that. I mean, if you're, it was literally you can draw on an iPad and it will
Yeah.
show instantly. So I was thinking that could be useful in a
Mm,
meeting or
mm,
workshop
mm.
setting where somebody's done something on whiteboard and I can have the access
Yeah.
assistant draw it on the iPad and I can feel it
Mm,
immediately. Whereas images, there's always going to be a bit of a buffer because you've got to get
of
it
course.
uploaded and then come down. So it's going to have a little
Mm.
delay there.
But we're talking seconds. We're not talking minutes or anything like that, aren't we? So the fact that it can
I
do
don't
it in
think so.
such a quick
No.
way is it just shows how the technology is moving forward all the time to be able to bring things in and make things more inclusive, isn't it? Which is just brilliant. So you said you use a screen reader as well. How are you getting on with the screen readers?
Um, like I said, my problem is I keep on reverting back to my
Mm,
eyes. So I've done. There's been quite a few online Zoom calls around like Zoom courses on how to use Mac with
mm,
VoiceOver and um, Bits blind information technology specialists, an affiliate of
mm.
ACB, did a JAWS course, which was very
Yeah,
useful. So doing those to try and encourage me, but it comes down to that practice, and if you're not using it day in day out for
yeah,
that, then that's where the challenge comes
yeah.
in. I find it's remembering it. Like I did learn the keyboard shortcuts to do. Um, Instead of dragging and dropping a file on Mac, how to do it with
Mm,
keyboard
mm.
shortcuts. I came to do it today, and it's like it's gone from my memory. I know I can ask ChatGPT, but then it's like I've got the mouse here. I'll
Yeah.
just drag and drop it this time. It's that discipline that's
Mm,
required
mm.
to continually learn it. But what I have found is because with the dot pad, I've got an iPad's been
Right.
provided, and I've not used an iPad with VoiceOver
Mm,
on. So picking that up and then being able to navigate was fairly straightforward. Not all of the keyboard shortcuts are the same as on the
hmm.
Mac, but being able to do the basic navigation, it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be
Yeah.
all right. This is going to be relatively straightforward, and I'll probably do all my email on it instead of
Mm.
messing around with JAWS at times.
Yes, yeah, I do. I've my iPad is exactly that. I've got a keyboard for it, and all of my emails and everything I do on that because it's so much easier than trying to do it on the laptop. I mean, I found, and I don't know what level of magnification you're at, but I found that I got to about 8 times, and at that point, the mouse ended up being prohibitive, and it ended up just being
Oh yeah,
just you can't find it. You keep losing the pointer. It's constantly moving around the screen. You can't because you're zoomed at such a high level. You just it becomes almost useless. So that was at that point when speech was on just about constantly, and I really just started using the keyboards for keyboard shortcuts for everything. I mean, I'm now at I think my work laptop has just tipped up to 14 times, but because I'm using the speech all the time, it's almost at that point where I can start dropping the magnification back down again, if that makes sense, and just focus on the voice. But yeah, it just...
On my work laptop, I've taken the magnification off to force me to use the voice. And in part because Zoom Tech's running with JAWS on that laptop, it's not a usable experience. My issue is that I started using the Mac, and the ability to press the control key and just move your fingers on the trackpad to zoom in and out has made it much worse. Because I don't know what Zoom I'm at, because I keep on going to where I need to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and that's exactly what it is with the laptop, with the iPad. Exactly that magnification. The zoom level is adjusted depending on what I'm using it. VoiceOver will be turned on and off depending on, again, what it is that I'm doing at that specific time, whether I need it. And actually, what's nice with especially with a lot of the apps, like sort of reading the news and stuff, a lot of them are now bringing in inbuilt voiceovers, so inbuilt, they'll read the articles out to you and things as well, which is just a really nice little addition there, isn't it? So,
It is.
And so what other things?
If they've got a good voice.
Yeah, if they've got a good voice, that's very true. That's the problem that I do have with JAWS, is the voice. It's really mechanical, and even if I've downloaded a whole load of different voice packs, and I cannot find the right one. They all just feel really quite harsh.
Yeah.
So what other thing outside of work? So if we talk about adaptations in the everyday life, so what type of things do you find work best for you?
Sunglasses. They're one of the first notable adaptations. And obviously now the Meta Ray-Bans. But sunglasses in general was one of the first ones, and took me a bit to get to a stage where I'd hold a white symbol cane,
Right.
as you would, it's like, I don't want to wear something that tells people I've got a disability. Go away. I think I was in London asking at a Five Guys what's on the menu, and they're pointing up at the top, and it's like, I can't see it, but they have no way to know, and that's where it's like, okay, I can't get angry with people if I don't show them.
Yeah.
So white cane, they're general usual ones. Probably less usual is smart lighting.
Right.
So having Philips Hue bulbs throughout the house, and not that I adjust them particularly, but also having light sensors, the PIR sensors. So I honestly can't remember the last time I touched a light switch, because the kitchen, we walk in, the lights come on. I've got some LED light strips that are under the bottom of the wall cupboards, so it lights up the worktop area to get the lighting right. All of the toilets, bathrooms, everything is, you walk in and the light comes on, and it goes off after a set period, or when you're not in there. And then adjusting that. So at night time, after 11 o'clock at night, if I walk into certain rooms like toilets and things like that, and the ensuite off our bedroom, it's a red light, so it's not something that's going to startle and brighten my eye. Just enough light to navigate around. So being able to take advantage of the technology, so it's like you're not just getting blurted with bright light all the time.
Yeah, because that is the thing, especially at night time, isn't it? You don't want to turn the light on, and so you end up walking around in the dark and bumping into things even more than normal, just because actually to turn the light on is just going to cause so much pain that you end up just sitting in the dark. I mean, my wife, she laughs because we're sat watching telly, and it's just, can you just turn the lights on? It's too bright. Everything is just too bright. Let's just turn it down, it ends up sitting in pitch black in the lounge while the telly's on, and of course the telly brightness is really dim as well. So you've got this beautiful 4K telly with all of this screen resolution, and I'm just like, just drop it down. It's too bright. It's too much. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if if it hasn't got audio description, I'm not interested anyway. So so there we go.
Exactly. I must admit, when we replaced our telly 2 years ago, and it was like, why are you getting a 4K OLED telly? And it's like, because I want one.
Exactly, because I can.
I want to make the use of the last vision I've got. I might not be able to appreciate it, but
yeah. That's why I've gone for the 90-inch one, not the 50 that actually will fit on the wall.
I went 65 so it would fit on the wall, but I was very tempted by pushing it a bit more. But the other side, I don't know about yourself, if you have a lower resolution telly, although our eyesight isn't to a state where we can appreciate the really high resolution, I can tell the difference in the image. So, like if you use a standard monitor compared to your iPad display, I actually find the iPad display much better when it's an OLED panel or a high res and high brightness panel. Even if I turn the brightness down, I found that it's worth having the high quality screen because you do get a bit more from it.
I think as well. I think it's the flicker rate as well, isn't it? It's nowhere near as it's a much cleaner light, which doesn't then impact and doesn't make you, because my eyes can start to get quite they can almost keep moving, and if the flicker rate is too low, or if it's quite wrong, then my eyes will start sort of moving from side to side, and it just causes that bit more disorientation with it when it is that lower level. So that's exactly the reason why you need the high resolution. You need all of this stuff, not because you can see the quality of the screen, but just because it doesn't cause you so much pain in your eyes. So it's a positive.
And because we're techies and we needed an excuse.
Exactly, and there's always that one.
Otherwise, we could get there.
Most definitely, yes, yeah. So you were, not so long ago, you were at one of the site villages, weren't you? The Midland site village?
Yeah.
So,
site village.
And you mentioned before you went, I know we were chatting, and you were saying that they had this, I can't remember the name of it, but this smart cane. Did you get a chance to have a look at that?
So I think I was talking to you about the Glide by Glidance, and they unfortunately weren't there because I believe they would have needed to be spread across the US because the US had their NFB and ACB conferences. Right. So I think Glidance will be there in London for the London one. And everything I've heard about it is really positive. But I've never got hands-on with it myself.
It's a shame.
There was the WeWalk 2 and Biped, or Noah, as they're now calling the product. Now they've stopped it being bright white and looking like a toilet seat around your neck. They were both there. And
did you manage to try any of those out?
I'd heard
Did you get to try either of those out at all?
I'd had a demo of the WeWalk 2 last year just before it was being launched at Site Village Leeds, and I'd heard a lot of bad things about it subsequently when it first came out, but more recently I'm hearing positive things about how usable it is and the fact that it's really just an handle on your current cane, so it doesn't add a lot of weight. And I think really it's the sensor that helps you know that you're not going to walk into that branch. So I'm still not convinced I'd spend the money on it because white cane's a white cane.
Yeah,
but
they are. So just explain what the WeWalk 2 does.
So the WeWalk 2 is a handle that goes on your normal cane. It's got AI. Everything's got AI in it nowadays. It's got a sensor that will tell you if there's a branch in front of you, and you can like twist it so you can check where things are. You obviously using the cane as normal. You can have spoken or haptic
Yeah.
feedback. It will do like navigation. So there's buttons on it, so you can ask it to do, you know, take me to the next place. Or this is the thing that made me chuckle. Apparently, one of the reps said you could ask it for a cookie recipe while you're walking home. It's like, I don't think that's the kind of thing I'd be wanting my cane to do, but you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's funny because that really is the type of thing you go. It's on a white cane. It's there to keep you safe and it's there to give you your mobility. Do you really think that you're going to want to ask your cane, especially when most people have got a smartphone in their pockets? If you're going to ask somebody for a cookie recipe, you're probably going to ask your smartphone. You're not going to ask your cane, are you?
no.
Although, by the sounds of things, if it does, because sometimes Chester's quite good at walking me into high overhanging branches and stuff. So maybe I'll get one of those wee walks and just attach it to his back so that he stops walking me into things. Maybe that will help.
There's a cheaper option. It's called the mini guide. It's like a key fob size, and you could strap that on his harness and have it beep for you. See if
make it. Yeah, give him some additional training just to make sure that he. Yeah, his trainer was about a foot shorter than me, so he really struggled to figure out heights for me. I mean, he's still. I've been with him 2 years now, but he's still getting his. He's good most of the time, but he does every now and again walk me into a branch or an overhanging something which is overhanging. But bless him. Anyway, there we go. The other thing you talked on, just jumping back. The other thing you talked about, and we've discussed it before, is your Ray-Ban Metas. Now, as I've said before, the jury for me is still out. I've got a real thing about. I don't have a smart speaker in the house because I don't like things listening in. I don't like it. I don't want to have an Alexa because I've got a thing about these things. With regard to the Metas, convince me why I need to get a pair of Ray-Ban Metas.
So with the Metas, it depends on what you're using them for. You do have a lot of control over what goes up to Meta. So, for example, the Be My Eyes calls, Meta will only initiate the service. They're not actually processing anything in that call. So if you're using the Be My Eye volunteer, then Meta's not getting that video feed or anything related with that. Obviously, if you're looking at a menu and saying, "Hey Meta, can you tell me what the price of steak is on the menu?" then it will send that image up to Meta, and Meta will process it to get that data out. And there's the privacy options, and Meta are getting better at this. But will you likely have an advert about a steak in your Facebook feed or on the next webpage? Probably. I can't convince against that. I mean, you can connect to WhatsApp, and obviously WhatsApp is meant to be end-to-end encrypted, and the video calls. So you're not, I mean, you won't use your Meta Ray-Bans to read a doctor's letter or to do anything at work. But if you're out and you just want to find out what's on the menu, being able to do that is really useful. If you want to be able to take a picture of the kids or snap something, a short video, I thought that would be like the least useful part, but having something on you all the time, where even if you've got your hands full, you can say, "Hey Meta, take a photo," and it just snaps that moment where your daughter's licking your son's face or whatever they're doing, then and looking cute and adorable, or you want to kill them, whichever way it goes, then that's where I found like the real use for it. And I mean, I think they were out like probably 9 to 12 months before I bought a pair, in part because of the VPN, although I did do it before the VPN issue was resolved. I think it was when the Be My Eyes was announced, then it's like, okay, I need to do this now. But I hesitated for a long time because it's like, do I really want to get into Meta having that and it being around. Um, so I think it depends on when you're using them, and you can switch them
Yeah.
off. There's a physical switch on the arm, so you can switch them off, although it's a pain to switch them on and
Right.
off. They are accessible, and
Yeah.
it's that ability to call, you've gone down the shop and you can't remember what the wife said, or you can't see they've changed the packaging color or whatever it is. Then you can say, "Hey Meta, call Amy," and it'll call her, and then you just double tap on the button on the frames, and it's a video
Yeah.
call, and she can see what you're looking at, and you're hands
Yeah.
free. That's where you start getting this. Do you know what? The data I'm sharing at this point is not that sensitive.
Yeah.
Do I really care if they know that I was in Tesco looking at Ben and Jerry's
Yeah. It,
and trying to find the caramel chocolate or whatever? It's it's a
it
trade-off.
is.
It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
trade-off.
No, that's a very good point, actually. It is that hard. I'm thinking about it because I had to do it. And a couple of weeks ago, I needed to go down the shops for Kath. We needed to pick up some hot dogs for William, and he's very particular about the ones that he likes. So they only had one brand in there, so I had Chester's handle in one hand, I had a basket in the other, and I'm trying to then get in a third hand a phone, turning on FaceTime to then do that to speak to her, and it's just like it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well. So actually, that type of thing, it sounds like that would be an amazingly useful. And you are right. It's because obviously we wanted to talking about privacy and how we how we're best to look after our data and protect ourselves. But you do need to make that trade-off, because no matter what it is, there are things, we're sharing our information everywhere. There's so much, and people are getting, of organizations are getting access to our data just for every time we turn on a website or go onto Amazon or go onto, or switch on Netflix and put on the
Walking down the street,
exactly. Yeah, that's right. But they are but there does sound like it's got some really, really good benefits there. And I must admit, one thing which I am slightly warming to is Oakley have now bought out they've started their pre-sale on the Metas as well. So it's,
and they've got much better battery life.
Yeah. So how long do they last for?
So if I put them on and I'm not using them particularly much, then I can get 4 or 5 hours out of them. If I'm using video, I'll get maybe somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes of video with them.
Yeah.
But you just put them in their case and they charge straight away. There's no messing around with cables or magnetic cables. I've had various Bluetooth sunglasses before, and it's a pain. Whereas these, you just slot them in the case, you give them 15 minutes, you've got like another 30% power back. They're really quick charging, and the case gives you several days of power. So if I'm going out and I know I'm going to do a lot of videoing, then you just need a little bit of planning, which we're used to as blind people.
Yeah.
And another set of sunglasses to swap on when I put them in the case.
Yeah, it's justifying why you need 2 pairs, isn't it? That's the thing, because you always need a spare.
I've drawn myself short at that. I didn't get a second pair. It's like I can make do with just a normal Bluetooth pair of sunglasses, £30 kind of pair, rather than the 300 that the Metas were. Although Meta did have a good discount going a bit back, where there were £240 instead of the 300, and EE was selling them at 199.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it is expensive, but I think that's the thing, isn't it? With they always, not so much these ones because they're not being marketed as disability aids or accessibility aids, but the second you get anything is marketed as a disability aid, that's it. There's always at least a 20-25% premium onto it, if not more. So the fact that they're actually relatively affordable, and they're comparable to any other pair of Ray-Bans or Oakleys really that you might want to go out and buy. So yeah, they're
Oh, it's them being broadly used by consumers in
mm, mm,
general. And the fact that you can go to Courage, you can go to John Lewis, you can go to Argos, and you can pick up a
yeah,
pair. Whereas you'll know as well as I do, if you look at like the Envision glasses, I want to say they're like three and a half thousand
yeah,
pounds. And you know, let's say you smash them or you need to replace them
mm,
quickly,
mm,
you're not going to be able to do
yeah,
that. Whereas hopefully you don't smash your glasses. You can replace them on the high street,
yeah.
which is a benefit
It
for
is
us.
definitely it is. Um, I'm. We could carry on this for absolutely forever, but I feel like we need to wrap this up a little bit. So before we go, though, just tell me what's your what's happening next for you, and just also give people some information about where people can find more about you, and where your where any information that you have about yourself is available.
Sure. So holidays next, and then returning to work after a period of medical
Mm-hmm.
leave. So quite and some anxiety building around
Gosh,
that, as you would expect after being out for a
yeah,
period. But all positive, and getting an access assistant and dot pad coming in.
fantastic.
In terms of finding out more about me, if you look at
Mm-hmm.
timdixon.net, that's timdixon.net, there's links to my socials on there. Feel free to connect. And also from a peer support perspective, I'm part of the Blind Ambition
Mm,
community, and that has really helped me in the past sort of nine
mm,
months. Meeting other people like me and you,
yeah,
Chris, that are more working age, and lots of charities out there are very good at dealing with the vast majority of people with sight loss that are getting it 65
yeah,
plus, but they lack this
yes.
our
Yeah,
age
they
group,
they
I believe.
totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, no, and thank you for sharing me that link to that. And it's a great community. I joined it a few weeks ago, and yeah, really good community. Lots of really good fun stuff going through there as well. And just an amazing way to connect with peers, isn't it? So yes, yeah,
It is. And if anybody's interested in that, if they go to
hmm
blindambition.co.uk, there's on the menus, there's the Blind Ambition community. And if you go there, it tells you more about the community and the registration form.
wonderful, brilliant. Well, thank you for that, Tim. That's been really good. It's been great to chat.
Having me.
It's been so much fun. So that is all for this episode of In Conversation With. A huge thank you to Tim Dixon for sharing your insight and your experiences, and for reminding us that while technology can be challenging, it also opens up amazing opportunities for connection and for independence. If anybody has enjoyed this conversation, please share it with someone who might find it helpful, and don't forget to subscribe to find more discussions like this. Thanks for listening, and until next time, take care.